This time we're going to look at a vintage cassette deck by Alpine. This was branded Alpage. It's kind of a unique machine the way this one operates. I think you'll find the mechanism is quite interesting on this one, to say the least.
This is an Alpage FL6000 cassette deck, which is an Alpine, which is ultimately a Lexman.
As you can see here, Alpine Electronics, made in Japan. What makes this unit different than most others is the unique way they control the mechanism through a series of cams. This one's got a belt that's missing. So how a unit like this operates is there are a series of well, I'll show you. I'll put a tape in here and we'll just run it through its paces. So when you press buttons, this cam assembly, might help if I turn it on, will operate the mechanism to load the various modes. In this case, it won't rewind because the rewind belt is missing. I think I'm at the end of the tape there. Let's just try. Okay, if I go to play, for example, you'll watch the cam. That's the play cam, puts it into play. And when I press stop, it stops it. Go to fast forward, the fast forward cam puts it into fast forward. The stop cam stops it. And if I go to rewind, well, it should put it into rewind, but because the rewind belt is missing, it will not rewind. Now the belt that needs to be replaced has turned to black goo and it's right down inside here. The only way to change a belt like this is the entire mechanism needs to be completely disassembled. And this is a huge undertaking to change out one belt. So we're going to figure out a way to do this without taking the entire mechanism apart. First things first, I'm going to try and clear out the old crap from the pulley, if I can. I'm going to try and do this without taking this entire mechanism into pieces, because it's a real nightmare to get this thing apart. And I should be able to, if I can loop the belt over one side, I should be able to get it over the other pulley. We're getting the crap out of there now, you see, from the old belt. So I got a Q-tip in here soaked with isopropanol into the groove. We're just trying to get the crap out of the belt. As you can see, getting a good portion of it out of there. We'll continue to clean this until we get the majority of, if not all, the black goo out that we can. As you can see, this stuff is cleaning up quite nicely. This will take me a few minutes to clear this up. If I can get a belt around the supply hub, I might be able to get it around the belt and fish it around the other side. I may have to pull the front faceplate off and pull the deck out from behind to get to where I need to get to on this one. Unless I can fish a belt, I might be able to fish a belt. Oh. I might be able to fish a belt around here. I'm just looking to see whether I can possibly do that. I might be able to fish a belt right in through here and get it around that pulley. Just try that first. What I'm hopeful is that I can get a belt in behind this cover around the hub and pull it in from the back. I ended up doing a lot of disassembly that I did not need to do. Like, I took the front face off and I didn't need to do it because there is a space. The one that's going to be hard to fish over is this one. The other pulley is open on the back. At least it looks to be open. So if I can get the belt in through here around this pulley, then I should be able to Should be able to grab it from the other side and pull it around. This is going to be the hard part, just getting it in behind here.
And this indeed was the toughest part, but it wasn't that difficult.
If I can bring it in on this side of the plate, then I stand a chance in getting this one working.
Now, as I say, I did end up taking the front faceplate off as I was going to pull the deck, but there's a lot more involved than just pulling the faceplate. There are screws that are almost impossible to get at. And that faceplate will not come off because it's held in place with tight wires. So you can't remove it completely without disconnecting a bunch of stuff. It's a stupid design.
The good news is I don't have to take this thing apart anymore because I was able to, through here I was able to fish the belt, and I've now got the belt on the back side of the front panel. So I can now get the belt around the pulley and hopefully down around the other one. Hopefully this belt's the right size. Wouldn't that be a kicker if it's too big? Oh, that'll just piss me right off. Took me long enough to get this belt in here as it is, never mind having the wrong size belt. But the battle is half won. I've got the belt where I need it, so I can put this front panel back in place here. After all that, I don't think I even needed to remove the front panel because I could have just done that and been able to see down there to fish that belt through. I don't know how much you guys will be able to see of this, but I've got the belt down here now. I'm just going to try to slip it around the back side of this pulley, and hopefully it will be the right size, because I really don't want to have to go through all this again. Okay, I got it on the pulley, and is it going to get it around this pulley, or am I too big? Okay, the front panel back on now. Let's just see whether my tape will fast forward or rewind. So fast forward, there it goes. And how about rewind? Actually, it's not slipping. What it is the take-up side is stiff. There's lots of torque on the rewind side, so the belt's not slipping, but the take-up side has a problem. It is stiff. Yet when you put it in play, it's working fine. When you put it in fast forward, it's got lots of torque. But it's like the brakes are on. Brakes aren't coming off when I go into rewind. What other things will be wrong with this thing? So what looks to be the problem on this is the take-up hub. It's a plastic hub, and it's got the auto stop mechanism in behind, and it's pushed in place by a spring, and it's binding to the clutch itself is binding. It looks like the plastic itself may have got a crack in it, and it's now jamming up. So on fast forward you're fine, and on play you're fine because it doesn't need the torque. But when I go to try to go into rewind, this is all you'll see happen. You'll see that this just rocks back and forth. That's actually the auto stop lever that's stopping a mechanism from moving. If I remove the tape, of course, and put it into rewind, I got lots of torque on here. I got plenty of torque. But you can see, even if I try to turn this by hand, it's really, really stiff. And it's because this hub itself has also failed. And this is the problem when you get into this old plastic like this. You know, I'll have to speak to the guy that owns this one, because it was under the assumption that it just needed a belt. But you know, now I spent all this time putting a belt in the thing, another lost cause basically, because I've put a bunch of time into putting a belt in this thing, and we've got other problems that have to be addressed. So at this point, I'm going to just put this one aside and talk to the guy and see what he wants. I mean, the front cover is missing anyway from it, right? So, but that's the problem when you get this old crap. This old crap is, you know, everyone wants to fix this old crap, but unfortunately, a lot of this old crap shouldn't be fixed. When you get plastic pieces, it doesn't matter how much metal that's in here; it's still got plastic, and this plastic itself just wears out after a while, and once that happens, you can see where the problem is. If I zoom the camera, you can see it down here. I'll show you where it's binding. So the clutch assembly that's binding is right there, you see? See the piece that's rocking back and forth? Okay, well that's the slip clutch, and it's very stiff. Between the portion that turns and the portion that doesn't turn, there's a felt pad in there between the two of them where it slips, and well, it's not slipping. Now it could be the gear itself is cracked, or it could be when that belt broke, and you can see some of the residue from the black from the old belt. When the belt broke, it may have gotten in there and got on the felt and damaged it, but can't take this hub out without literally tearing the whole thing into pieces and getting the deck out. It's just a real nightmare. And okay, you take the hub out, what are you going to do with it, right? I doubt very much whether a cleaning it's going to work. It's more than likely got a crack in the plastic, and that's what's allowing it to bind up. Where are you going to find a hub for a tape deck that was made back in the 1970s by a company that no longer exists? Right, Alpine was bought out by Luxman, but I don't think you'll have much luck finding any of the old stuff. This is the record lever that pulls the record play switch. When you put it in record, it pulls the switch by that cable. It pulls this down, and that's what puts it into record. Another place of failure, because these cables had a tendency to stick, and then the machine would stay halfway between record and play, and you ended up with lots of noise. So I don't know, I'm not batting very good odds on this one, am I? But anyway, we know where the problem is on this one now. As I say, I put a belt in there, kind of wasted a bunch of time putting in a belt. It's not even worth it to take it out at this point. I think what I'll do on this one is I'm going to leave it sit and fast forward, because that's making the clutch slip. You can see it right down in here. If you look down there, the portion that's... Can you see it? Anyway, right down in here, where I'm pointing with the screwdriver, that's where the clutch is. And basically, as this cam rotates, there's a lever that's following back and forth, and if it stops turning, right, if we stop the hub from turning, it'll kick into auto stop. It's supposed to, but even that, it's there we go. I'm gonna let this thing just sit and fast forward and run for a while here and see whether that clutch will loosen up. Maybe it will loosen up and this thing will work, but I think it probably needs to have that auto stop mechanism replaced in order to make this thing work properly. Again, parts, you're never going to find them. Anyway, I want to let this thing just sit running and fast forward for a while, and we'll check it. I'll leave it sit for a couple of hours, and we'll check it and see whether it's freed up at all, and maybe, just maybe, it will work. I'm not holding my breath, but we'll see what happens. After leaving this thing sit in fast forward mode like this all night, it's been on there for, well, about 20 hours, I guess now, and it hasn't freed up much. It will fast forward and play, no problem. But when I put it into rewind, it just kind of moves about that speed, and that's just due to this hub being seized up. You know, it's really quite stiff. There is a lot of torque on rewind. Like, I have to really put my finger in there to stop this thing from turning. You can see lots of torque, but it's like the brakes are on, but the brakes aren't on. It's actually the hub itself that's seized. So because of that, I'm going to condemn this unit. Unfortunately, I put a lot of time in it to change the belt, only to find out that there are other mechanical problems on this, and being such an oddball deck, the chances of finding any parts for anything like this are just going to be impossible. And the first person that comes along and says 3D print it will be banned from my channel.
Or maybe they should 3D print it for me.
Thanks for watching.